Thank you for joining us for a new episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR and marketing pros who work for themselves. I'm Michelle Kane. My company is Voice Matters LLC, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, Karen Swim, the head honcho at Solo PR Pro, the tribe that pulls us all together. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hello, Michelle. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm enjoying
I am
this.
too.
Yeah, this mild East Coast winter. So fingers crossed that rings true for the next month or so.
That would be nice because I am completely ready for spring.
Me too. I'm not in the mood for winter to come roaring back anytime soon. So we shall see. But just thinking about warmer times and warmer climates makes me think about travel. But that does lead into our topic today, in a way, is
Yeah.
professional development. So really, what do you plan out for yourself throughout the year? Do you have any one particular conference that you always make sure you attend? How do you budget that out?
Yes.
All that good stuff. How do you know ways to keep your tools sharpened in perhaps a larger scale way? So, yeah.
I love this topic and I do think that, that was a great segue because spring is when, conference season sort of heats up. Spring and fall are the big conference seasons. And if you haven't already made decisions, it's not too late. But I think it's so important to make an investment in yourself. And I feel like people don't do that enough. Whether you work in house or with an agency, you're employed, or you're a business owner, it's so important to invest in yourself. Meaning, if you work in house or you're at an agency and your company pays for training, it's the training that they believe is valuable to you. And that's great. I'm so thankful for all of the corporate trainings that I had access to over the years, but I think it's equally important to take some control of your own career path and invest in things that are going to sharpen you and that are going to get you ready for those future steps that you want to take. So, and I think that sometimes we think linear about, professional development. So if you're in public relations and you look, at public relations conferences, there's nothing wrong with that. I attend a few of those as well. But what is the next step for you? What are things that you see that might be trending in the future that you feel you could use some either learning, for the first time, or that you need some strengthening in, and look for those opportunities to really develop yourself. So, go beyond going to conferences for the networking portion and for just the industry stuff, and think outside of the box. That could mean going to a developers conference because that's your target audience and you want to learn more about the challenges they face. Maybe it's going and learning more about AI. Maybe you never do SEO, but you're seeing that it could be important to your career. And so it's going to an SEO conference. I mean, I really do think that you have to look at your own career and take charge and develop in those areas that are going to help you.
Yeah, that's very true. I love that idea too of seeing areas that you need to grow into, or even areas that are ever changing, like social media. I think it's Social Media Examiner has their Social Media World Conference coming up. And what I liked about that is they have, if traveling is prohibitive due to schedules or finances, they have an online option, which is great. And I've seen a lot of conferences do that. I know in the past I haven't gone yet, but in Philly there's a writers weekend, and it's not business writing, it's just writing. And I've always said I enjoy writing, although I would never ever foresee myself writing a novel or anything like that. I'm more wired for hard news writing, for lack of a better word,
Yes.
business writing, than creativity. But you'd be working a muscle that you don't normally work. And I like to go into these things too as with the attitude of I never know who I might meet, that it might be beneficial, personally or professionally. In the past, I've attended Philadelphia each year has something called Word Camp, which is WordPress based,
Yes.
and you know that's especially good to know because we deal with developers or manage websites for clients, many of which are based in WordPress. So that's always good to know. Plus, it's good, if you're looking for to build your developer team. It's just keep your eyes open. Um, yeah, just be open to new experiences. I guess is really the thrust of what I'm trying to say. Um, and don't just silo yourself based on the work that you do every day.
I love that. And I love that you're thinking about the writing conference, which actually is a great skill to add for communicators. I mean, think about Anne Hanley. She is such a masterful storyteller. And she's so creative in her business storytelling. So I love that. I think that that's a great way to sharpen yourself from a different perspective instead of just attending like, how to write a good pitch or, news writing, because we know those, but exercising that muscle in a different way, I think, gives you, fresh ideas and it can re-energize your craft.
Absolutely, and especially as we all know, sadly each day you see more bad news coming from print journalism. So I know for years now I've been writing my releases as though they can be ready for print, just because I know the newsrooms don't have the staff, and a lot of times they'll just run it as is. But at least giving them that option, I certainly don't expect them to, well, you didn't run my
Yes.
release. Certainly, please do what you do, but here it is if it's helpful in this way. And and really, as brands, I know this is going to branch out in a little bunny trail, but brand storytelling is becoming so important.
Hmm.
um, I know, yet again, one of our offline conversations and conversations I've been having with clients, they know that price doesn't, it matters, but it doesn't matter. The experience matters. So how do we convey that in a way that's engaging is the challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, circling back to conferences. So, and how do you know how much time to allot for the conference? How do you budget for it?
Yeah.
So the bare bones components. Will it require airfare? Will it require a hotel stay? Making sure that you have carve out the right time of year for your workflow. All those things working together, those are the things you're going to have to think about when you're thinking about attending a conference.
I mean, yeah. So conferences can truly be, when we say investment, it's not just the price of the conference, right? Which is why I think that there are a couple ways that you can approach this. You can set a conference budget for yourself annually and then just sock that money away for professional development. Now, that doesn't always have to mean an in-person conference, as you pointed out, Michelle. That could be a webinar. It could be a virtual conference. It could be an online course, or it could be a course at your local community college. So your professional development is not limited to the big brand signature conferences that require travel. So let's say that you say, you know what, next year I'm going to allocate, $5,000 to professional development. Now you at least have that pool of money that you budgeted and set aside. And then you can look across, calendars and, after you've decided, like, what is it that I really want to gain this year? What is it that I feel like I need the most help in? And then you can start to allocate your budget based on your priorities. I like the idea of setting aside a budgeted number in advance, even if you're not one of those people who looks at your calendar for the entire next year and maps it out and makes those decisions in advance. Having the money at least allows you to, when the year comes, what amount of money you're working with, and you can still make those decisions, even if it's just, 2 or 3 months in advance of a conference.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Being ready is ideal. And there's a variety of ways that you can still get a lot out of the different conferences. Follow the hashtags of the
Mhm.
conferences. I know I've done that in the past when I've attended, WordCamp is styled this way. I've been to Philly used to do something called Marketing Camp, where it's an
Yes.
unconference, where people just throw up topics, and so there are 5 concurrent sessions. And well, I'm getting something out of this one, but ooh, what's going on in that one? I mean, I would sit there and take notes, follow a hashtag. By 2 o'clock, I was done.
Yeah.
But having that record, you can still go back and gain something from it in the days and weeks following, because there's that index of
I
information.
love that. And a lot of times
Yeah.
hashtags will also alert you to the sessions that most resonated with the audience. And so it may be a particular speaker that you see a lot of people quoting. Sometimes those speakers will have presentations that they've done in the past that are similar, or maybe it's the same presentation and they'll have them online. So it's a good way to like follow people that are saying something that's really speaking to you. Sometimes they have a book. And when you buy the book, most speakers are very strategic and smart in that if they're also authors, then their presentations follow information that's in their book. So if you follow the hashtag and a name keeps popping up and you're like, wow, I really like what this woman or what this man had to say, then, you can follow that person directly and see, do they have a book? Do they have other presentations? And use that as a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, there's a number of ways that you can stay sharp. I mean, I'm sure we all are subscribed to a number of e-newsletters, from that all the way up to attending a several day conference. And, also actually be on the lookout, without naming names. Some conferences sound great, but they're so expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
you think, wait a second, I can get the same benefit of the nuts and bolts in other ways or other smaller conferences. Not to put a negative cast on. I'm sure they're wonderful and they're very effective, but don't let your budget um, phase you out of pursuing your professional
Yeah,
development.
I agree. I mean,
Because
and I feel for conference organizers having, been behind a couple. So I completely understand the price points because it's so difficult to pull together all of those moving parts at anything less than what they charge. And so I know we'll look at a conference and we'll go, oh my God, the price is 1,500 plus, travel expenses and, hotel or Airbnb. And it's
right,
definitely an investment. So I would save those big ones for the ones that are really meaningful to you, not because, other people say that it's for you, but, use that budget wisely in a way that really benefits you. Um, I have, a signature. I have been going. That wasn't always true, but I go to PRC Icon every year. And yeah, it is an investment, but it's an investment that I choose to make because I find value in it and it's worth it to me. But I get it, especially for those who may be, startups and their businesses. Don't feel like you have to, make that level of investment if you really can't afford it. I mean, reading a book is professional development. Let's not forget that books
right.
are free at the library and cheap if you use something like Kindle or the Kindle Lending Library. And don't forget podcasts. There's so many podcasts that teach you
What?
things.
What's a podcast?
Yeah,
I'm
like
just
this
kidding.
little thing that we're doing. I,
Yes,
we
it's true.
may not be an educational podcast, but trust me, in addition to our podcast, I have lots of podcasts on my rotation. I use the Overcast app to make it go a little faster. Thank you, Chip Griffin, for turning me on to that last year. But I was really curious about this whole Amazon, like selling on Amazon thing. And it was something that I wanted to learn more about. And I learned from a podcast. Fancy that.
That's great.
And I walked away with so much information. It really was like attending school. And so even if the topic is not directly related to your job, podcasts can be a fantastic way to learn. Audiobooks, there's there's something for every learning style, and there's ways to get, learning in bite-sized chunks, or, full on, day long, weekend long, or, 3-4 day conferences. Although I think 4 days is way too long at a conference, but
Oh, yes. I agree. I agree. Because yeah, you can only truly, retain so much and take in so much. It's
yes.
kind of like I liken it to going to a museum. After a while, you just think, I can't look at another thing and really
Yeah.
appreciate it
Brains on overload,
anymore.
right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, for the travel conferences, there are some ways that you can kind of cut the expenses. There's little that you can do
Oh
about the
yeah,
price. If your employer is not one of the things that they normally pay for, big conferences will offer you, forms that you can submit that helps you to make a case for why it should be an approved expense. So that's one thing. Don't let that pass you by if there's an opportunity to get your employer to pay for something that's not part of the normal rotation and you can present a business case. Conferences will usually help you do that. For others, look into, the options. I love that conferences have options. Maybe you can't afford the full on conference, but maybe you can afford, a day pass. So pick the day that has the sessions that are most important to you, and that'll cut your price. If it's something that you have to travel to, depending on where it is, look into other options besides the hotels. Although conferences usually book really good rates with hotels, there are so many other ways to save, from Groupon to, doing an Airbnb to the good old fashioned stand with friends if you have friends or family in the area. And
yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
mean, so there's ways around some of the expenses.
Yeah, I think, another way is, if you know of a colleague or a coworker that's going to a specific conference and, that frees you up to attend something else, double up, share
Yes,
notes, divide and conquer. That's another great way to handle
yes.
it. That way you're still getting the benefits. And it's not to say, yes, when you attend the conference, it's great for, meeting people that can be either helpful to your career or just, widen your horizons. But, for the just the information itself, that's a great way to say, hey, you know what? I'll swap notes with you. We'll learn all that we can and keep on moving
I love that.
up.
I love the buddy up, and that's a genius idea because at conferences, what I always find happens is that ultimately there are two sessions happening at the exact same time that you want to attend. And
Exactly.
yeah,
And you get
yeah,
FOMO, session FOMO.
I know it's so frustrating. But when either you've gone to the conference with colleagues or you have colleagues there, what I often find, because us solos will see each other, ultimately they usually want those same two sessions too. So I love the idea of like, okay, I'll go to this one, you go to
Yeah.
that one, and we'll exchange notes.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's just the ideal way to do
Yeah.
it. I
And
agree. I
for
agree.
conferences like PRSA, one of the things that I love is all of the workshops and sessions are on the app. So even if you don't make a
Oh,
presentation, you can learn to your heart's content for the next 2 years if you want to. You just go on and you download it and you can get all the notes and everything. So that's a really helpful feature because even when you attend,
yes.
I mean, day one, if you sat through 3 sessions, even your mind starts to turn to mush. I mean,
Oh, totally,
and you're like,
totally.
wait, what? Where did I hear
Yeah.
that? Who was that? Where did I go?
My
Where am I?
I always am taken back to high school. My physics teacher, we had a 50-minute class, and he knew, it's physics. And he eventually, he would joke with us throughout the class, and he eventually goes, look, this stuff, you're only going to retain 10 to 15 minutes of what I'm teaching you with these
Mhm.
concepts. So, relax. And that's really stayed with me even as I put presentations together or attend things of, yeah, I'm only going to retain so much of this if it's a really deep topic.
Yes,
So
I
relax
love
and just, yeah, don't be hard on yourself in that respect too. But and I do love that a lot of conferences are doing that now. They'll save the recordings and post the notes somewhere because that ongoing value is everything, because you don't know what you might have missed, or you don't know maybe what your brain wasn't prepared to really ingest that day.
yeah.
Kind of like, when you go to see a movie and you think, I should have liked that movie. Why didn't I? Well, maybe it was my mood. It happens for conferences too. Um, so I think that's incredible. I know the Pennsylvania Conference for Women has done that. When you attend, they have, I think, all of the main speakers or most of them available afterward via, I think, their podcast. But and that's another conference I look forward to every year. It's moderately priced. It sells out in a nanosecond. So I always have the on sale date circled in red.
Well, here's another
So I don't miss
little
it.
inside baseball tip. Don't forget about your state associations. Like in Michigan, there is the Michigan Business and Economic. Oh, how terrible that I don't remember the name of it. But they have these fantastic speakers from, large enterprise, or, sometimes they're entrepreneurs on fantastic topics, and it's digestible because
Wow.
it's like an evening and there may be one or two speakers, so you're not overwhelmed. And usually those things are like $25. So check
Nice.
your chamber and your, state
Oh yeah.
economic development agencies or your state business associations, because they do some really wonderful things that you'll miss if you're like me, because I don't visit government websites, but somehow I ended up subscribing to some email. So I get these notices, and I'm like, wow, this is really impressive, high quality speakers with great topics. And it's an opportunity to learn without having to, hop on a plane. It's right in your own town. And the prices are usually either free or super cheap. So take advantage of those opportunities as well.
That's true. That's true. I know our local chamber of commerce is always having some type of educational meeting or presentation. It may not always apply to me or my business, but they really do a good job of putting things out there that you might need to know or that your clients might need to know. And of course, there's also the local PR-SA chapters. They're always having free
Yes.
webinars or paid events. I know our locally for me, Philadelphia Public Relations Association, they're always having really valuable sessions. They actually, they'll bring the assignment desk editors into a room on a panel. So, how do you like to be pitched now? Or what kinds of stories are you looking for? And that is invaluable to how we do the best we can for our clients. So and that's really what it's all about. You want to make sure that that you're still sharp and that you know all you need to know, and also remembering that not everybody knows everything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But there's such a number of ways, so don't sit there and think, oh, I can't afford the mega conference, so oh well. Seek out those podcasts, the free webinars, the associations, all those number of ways. Check out your library, even blogs. I subscribe to a couple. I subscribe to Chris Penn. A lot of what he says about data goes over my head, but I love hearing from him anyway. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I'm glad you know. Or, Mark Schaefer has wonderful insight through his Grow
Yeah.
blog. I really get a lot out of that. So even that's professional development. You're bolstering
Absolutely.
your knowledge,
Absolutely.
and, and those two and more also help ooh, oh, okay, I better learn a bit more about that path, or right, let me solidify that aspect of my business. So it all works together. And you know what? We're all in this together. So we'd love to hear from you. what ideas you have. What are your favorite conferences? What do you get out of them? You can let us know in the comments section. And of course, we hope you get something out of this time with us every week. So please subscribe and share wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo Life.
Thanks, everyone.